let's talk about bird dogs. Okay, I love this exercise, but so often in the fitness world, I see it done incorrectly. It's not going to necessarily hurt you if you're doing it wrong, but you're not really going to truly get the benefits out of it that as a pregnant and postpartum mom, you really want and need. Um, the idea of a bird dog is to help stabilize the core, teach your body how to move your limbs while bracing and helping keep the pelvis and the rib cage stable and in the right positioning. Okay. Oftentimes with a bird dog, what I'll see is I'll see a lot of movement in the lower back, which means your core isn't firing and you're not stabilizing where we need to be. So you're moving your limbs, but you're also moving your trunk. And we want to teach you that stability. Okay. For this exercise today, you can use a foam roller. I think it's a really helpful, wonderful tool to use to help kind of teach form, learn form, focus on different things. But you can also use like a wall or a chair. Something that you can just put your head against or your side against at some point during the bird dog. It's just easier with the foam roller because it's light, simple, and movable. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you real quick what most of the time I see a bird dog look like. So people will set up here. Notice the big giant arch in my lower back. And then as they go to lift those opposite limbs, they'll crank them up towards the ceiling, creating more of an arch in their back. And then they'll round through their back as they bring their limbs together. Okay. That does not allow the freedom for your core to kick in. It's stretching when you have that arch in your back, and it's too constricted with that round in your back. So it's actually going to wind up bothering your back if you have some symptoms there. It's not going to help with diastases or leaking and prolapse if you're dealing with those issues. So what we want to look for is we want to have hands over wrist, hips over knees, coming to that neutral pelvis. And then as you extend those opposite limbs, you're reaching for the wall in front and behind you, making sure that you're feeling that core engage and the lower back does not move at all. So you might have a slight arch in your neutral when you go, as long as it's not changing as you start to move. Now, where the foam roller can come in handy is one thing that we want to make sure we don't see is a forward and back movement here. So you want to set up with the foam roller. Again, if you're using a wall or a chair, you can use the same idea. You're putting your forehead against the wall, the chair, finding that neutral pelvis. And then as you go to lift those opposite limbs, you don't want to knock it over. And you also don't want to come away from it. Okay, so this is helping keep your torso and chest from shifting forward and back, making sure you can keep an eye on that. Now, if we move the foam roller to the side of our body, you're going to place it directly next to your hip. So slightly touching your hip in position here. Now, it is touching my left hip, so I'm going to extend my right leg. As I go to extend my right hip, I don't want to push it over, okay? So it gives you an idea if you're shifting your weight into this down leg, if you can lift those limbs without coming away from it or knocking it over, then you are keeping your weight nice and centered, okay? Which is also what we want. Now, there is a third way to use the foam roller. It's a lot more difficult, especially without help, but it can be used to help get you into a good positioning here. Now, often this is a lot easier if I hold it for a client, or maybe you have a spouse or partner who can help you. But essentially, head, shoulders, and butt should be in contact with the foam roller as you lift. Okay, so your head's not down here, you're not letting it hang, and you're not cranking it up towards the ceiling. For this one, you can also use, I find like a broom pole. If you can screw off the broom pole, will stay better without help. If you have a half foam roller that has the flat side, that can do it as well. So those are your 3 ways to use an extra tool to help you improve those bird dogs and work on that stability at your trunk and core. So this should be a core exercise. So if your core is not firing, get your foam roller, give it a try, and let me know what you think.